Crafter the Giant interview. Next week I'm doing Parrot.
All right, stand by.
Between the Lines would like to thank Protection Strategies Incorporated for sponsoring tonight's program, one of our country's leading providers of integrated security services, including operational security, training, testing, and evaluation. Clients of PSI include the Department of Justice, the FBI, and the Department of Energy.
Ryan Spitzer, for Circuit Court Judge, is also sponsoring tonight's program. Ryan is a prosecutor and Army medic for 6 years and a lifetime Tennessean. A graduate of Vanderbilt Law School, Ryan is dedicated to serving the citizens of Anderson County.
Judge Roger Miller is sponsoring tonight's program. Judge Miller is a lifetime resident of Anderson County. Judge Miller has adjudicated over 30,000 cases, both civil and criminal. Judge Miller is looking forward to continuing to serve Anderson County.
Welcome to Between the Lines, Thursday night edition, 7 o'clock. Once again this week, we've got a great show. We're going to talk to Tim Isbel, Commissioner, Rocky Top, I knew I was going to say Lake City, Rocky Top resident, and he's in charge of the redistricting of the county for all of the commission districts and states. We're going to talk a little Rocky Top, how the business is going up there. We're going to have to hit homelessness a little bit, but we'll figure out what's happening up there and we'll get to it. So welcome to Between the Lines.
Thank you, Alan.
I've known Tim a long time. Hardest working guy I know. I tell you, he runs a fabrication steel business in Lake City. You've been here how many years now?
Since 83.
83.
Yeah.
Let me do my math real quick. It sounds like 37 anyway. You know, it's a long time.
Yeah.
Graduate of Fulton High. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Graduate of Fulton High, 1977. Yeah. Took machine shop classes there.
Sure.
Went on to, that's what I made my livelihood off of. Well, went to Allied Chemicals, tool and die maker. When they closed down, I come to Lake City at the time. There's a hydraulic shop, because the first place I worked at was a hydraulic shop. And worked there from 83, and then actually bought the place in 87. So I've owned and operated since 87.
You know, my friends, when we were kids, always asked me, do you regret not going to medical school or law school? And I say, no, I regret not becoming a plumber.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just incredible. So you get back here, you start your shop, and I know you're on call all over Kentucky and Tennessee with your skill level. Got a number of patents, and
well, it first started out really in the coal mining business.
That's true.
Yeah, we're doing
up there with Swishers and all the guys.
Well, we actually did. We were in West Virginia, Kentucky, Georgia, Alabama. You know, you think you don't hear too much about Southern coal, but some of the biggest coal comes out of Alabama.
Having lived in Pittsburgh for a dozen years, West Virginia was coal country. We heard a lot. You know, Nick Saban. Yeah, son of a coal miner.
That's right.
Grandson of a coal miner in northern West Virginia, down in Fairmont. So he came up hard work, and obviously that's paid off.
Yeah, definitely.
He knows he's got a system, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. All right, then. You came down here, and you've worked it, and you got into politics. I can remember it was 15, 20 years ago you got in.
That's correct.
And you served on the county level for several years. You've been commission chairman, you've been operations chairman?
Been operations chairman, currently operations chairman, finance chairman. Beer board, been on beer board for even before I got elected as county commissioner.
That's a bigger responsibility than people think, especially with marinas and bars. And Anderson County's got a different set of rules, And
the thing about it is we're actually the one that kind of brought in, ASAP. And got all that started.
Yeah, with Stephanie and all. She's not there anymore, though.
No, she's not there anymore.
Where'd she go?
But you're talking, she retired, actually.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, she had some family issues that she had wanted to take care of. I mean, but she did,
great.
She's great.
Tremendous job.
Yeah, and ASAP, Anderson County. It's a great program.
And tell us again, Anderson County Substance
Abuse. Yeah, program.
Okay,
Yeah.
Anderson County Substance, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, I remember they rented something, Jolly Building, and they've been all around.
Yeah, they have been.
Worked with the courts.
And you know, the underage drinking and the drug awareness and things like
Just
that, the
education,
programs they do, yeah, it's education. And, you know, we used to see people failing, you know, when they go in and do the beer sting.
Oh, yeah.
And so we brought in, this, you know, you got trained, you got to send your clerks to school. And we even went down, I don't know if you remember that, but we went down to Nashville and talked about it, you know, early on, probably 14 years ago. And so we got this going, and we got a great beer board, and we just don't have the problems we used to, because it's all about education. You know, education is the name of the game, no matter what you do.
Are you on that board?
Yes, yeah,
Oh, I
I'm
see.
chairman. Been chairman of that board for, I think, for
You know,
14
some
years.
years it's an honor to be the chairman. And some years you have to draw straws to see who's willing to do it.
Yeah, that's true.
That's county government.
That's
you know,
true.
it's a different world. And
I
so,
tell you what's tough is being chairman of commission during election year.
oh yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
it
that's
is tough. Everybody, and even probably tougher being during redistricting. And I kind of like Josh. I think
Yeah.
Josh, he
does a
provides.
good
I mean,
job.
I'm just a citizen now. I
Yeah.
don't have any business in Clinton, but I get good information. I mean, he spells things out. He's
Yeah,
he's transparent.
that's true.
And I never see him as being on one side or the other. He works well with the administration, from what I hear, et cetera, et cetera. And so
Really,
I
Alan,
think you got a good commission.
We do.
Good structure.
There's not a commissioner sitting there that could not run the show very efficiently as chairman of commission. Everybody. I mean, just, you know, you think about it, and these people were elected. It's not a fluke, because we talked about that last night. Operations, we had a big slate, couple hours, but what we do is we get everything talked about in our committees. Budget committee, operations committee is two biggest things. We respect each other. If it comes out of this committee, with a recommendation, we know that, there's been a lot of study went into it, debate, and so we just voted it down. I mean, we got that much confidence in each other from committee to committee, and sometimes our operations or budget runs a while, but that's what's supposed to be. That's where your transparency is, gives you a chance to discuss it, and then when we get to full commission, it's down to business.
So we have 8 districts. Let's just explain to all the folks how county government works a little bit. Legislative body. Obviously, everybody knows about mayors and clerks, but the county commission, we have 8 districts, 6, 7, and 8's in Oak Ridge.
Yep.
And then it goes from 1 in Claxton out to your areas 4, and then we got other areas and got more rural areas and stuff like. What is McCamey and
5?
5. That's right.
Yeah.
Him and Jerry White are down there.
Yeah.
5.
And if you look, I don't know if you can see this one right here.
Yeah, Robert and Jerry have been there a long time.
Yeah,
I
they
doubt they
have.
can see that from there.
Anyway, the yellow areas you see is 4 and 5.
Yeah, they're big
Yeah,
geographically.
they're big geographically. And then you'll see the Oak Ridge is in the orange. Of course, it goes by population.
Yeah.
7 having the smallest area, but the population is the most dense.
Yeah.
And on the bottom, you'll see, and this
Well,
is,
and living in 7, there's not much new housing. It's been reconstruction from the 40s.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up in that house in the 50s and 60s, and it's basically, well, 70s, but, basically when you go down Outer Drive or Michigan or Georgia or any of our streets, it's the original housing. I'd say our percentage is just really small. So 7 would be condensed because of the war effort.
Yep. And then what happens is why it's really important for people to do their census. If you drive around 7 or 8, and it's hard to find a
Which
house
for the
for sale
viewers,
or
that's
rent.
everything from Illinois to the marina. That's Emory Valley, Briarcliff, Glenwood, Pine Valley, Cedar Hill area. Go ahead.
Right. So then what you've got is you'll show 6 or 7, for instance, is down 4%. 6 is down 4%.
We've never been up, I don't think, in any census in 30 years.
But then again, you don't find anything that's for sale or for rent.
That's right.
So probably what's happening is people's not turning in their census. But these are the numbers that we have to go by. That could be.
I think there's a lot of
contributing
rental
factor.
housing in our area, and there's a lot of different things. And I can name 2 really nice houses where the owners live in Nashville or somewhere else, and
Yeah.
it's property they wouldn't rent. So 4% is not a huge amount. I mean,
Right.
it's
It's
but
not.
Still. And tell us what the census allows. Explain.
Okay, it's 5%. That's what they ask. You couldn't go up to 10%, but the state don't want that. They want to stay at 5%. So it's how many people you have in your district and how many you have to represent.
Most of them are within that, right?
Most of them, the only problem is, the big issue is 3 has grown so much. 3 is showing 1,002 up in residents.
And that's Norris, Andersonville, and all that area out there.
That's
right?
correct.
And it is growing.
It has grown tremendously. And then 4 is down 687, and 5 is down 511. But 5 is right on the borderline of 5%. But definitely 4 has got to gain some area to be within what we're supposed to. But you don't
and that number's around 7,500? No, it's higher than that now.
Yeah, it's higher than that.
8,000 some odd to get to the 76,000 population in Anderson County.
That is correct.
Why are districts important? Why not 4 districts or 12 districts? Where do they weigh in government? Why are
Well,
they
one thing is you don't want to dilute representation.
That's correct.
Because I can tell you for a fact, every commissioner there, they work their heart out. And it's not just you show up for meetings. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you do at home. You go to the grocery store, you go to Walmart, no matter where you go, you're going to run into a constituent that's got an issue that they want to talk about. And all the other things, there's a lot of homework that you got to do to be, a good commissioner.
And the argument always has been 6, 7, and 8, which is Oak Ridge.
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of impact from the county. We pay our bills, we get a jail, we get a few things in ambulance service, but in the end, most of the big decisions in county government impact people outside the municipal
That is
areas.
correct.
So if you live in Marlow, or you live in Andersonville, or you live in Fairview, this or Lake City, it's important. I mean, the things that we do, roads, sewer, we spent 20 years trying to figure out where a convenience center is going to go because of a population. So it is important.
And that's another thing is your convenience centers. That's something that's really important to, especially to people in rural areas, is somewhere to take your garbage off and be able to get in and out.
Sure.
You're not sitting there for 45 minutes. We're getting a new Wolf Valley Convenience Center, which is really going to help, because if you've ever been down Clinton Highway, you'll see how the traffic's backed up there. The one in Marlow has been redone. The mayor and Solid Waste Commission's done a great job in starting to rework all those. We've been blessed with this internet sales tax revenue, which is really helping. One of the other things that we just are been discussing from Finance Committee, I'm on Finance Committee now, I've been on since the inception, really. And what we're talking about doing is buying all the fire trucks at once, and the municipalities get one also, because they all pay. It's supposed to be every year, but when, several years ago when, the budget was really tight, we started doing it every 2 years.
That makes sense. Anyway.
Yeah,
it's
but
a big gift.
The only thing about every 2 years, your fire truck's really only certified for 10.
Right.
So
you got 8. You got more than you got for 2 times 10.
So if you're going if you're buying 10 fire trucks, and then you got the rescue squad, so you're 20 years out on getting the truck, so you're 10 years.
We're going to take a commercial break, and we're going to come back and talk about anticipated changes in the lives of commissioners this year, because there are some big changes coming.
Yeah.
And we'll be right back.
Roger Miller is a conservative and lifetime resident of Anderson County who has served as Sessions Judge since 2014. Judge Miller has adjudicated more than 30,000 cases, both civil and criminal, over the past 7 years. Roger is a graduate of Clinton High School, and he volunteers time coaching youth sports and serving as an instructor. A paramedic for 12 years, Roger worked saving lives at the Anderson County EMS, MedFlight 5, and Methodist Medical Center. In 2022, let's re-elect Roger Miller, General Sessions Judge.
Hello, I'm District Attorney General Dave Clark. My fellow DAs and I successfully fought for new elder abuse laws and procedures that have police departments and agencies using improved tools to protect our seniors. Victims of elder abuse are often unable to recognize or report abuse themselves. They need your voice. If you suspect abuse, contact local law enforcement or adult protective services. Let's work together to protect our seniors.
Between the Lines would like to thank Protection Strategies Incorporated for sponsoring tonight's program, one of our country's leading providers of integrated security services, including operational security, training, testing, and evaluation. Clients of PSI include the Department of Justice, the FBI, and the Department of Energy.
Ryan Spitzer has been a prosecutor in Anderson County since 2007, prosecuting more than 2,500 cases over the past decade. Ryan has been the Drug Task Force prosecutor for the past 7 years. Ryan donates time working with local nonprofits. A veteran, Ryan spent 6 years serving his country as an Army medic in the National Guard. Ryan is a family man who works hard every day to keep Anderson County families safe. Experience matters.
Okay, we're back, and we're talking about county commission and redistricting and everything. So let's start with this. We have a change in Tennessee. You and I are both active in the Republican Party. We're both conservatives. You're one of the few probably on commission that's active in Republican politics. I'm sure there's Republican conservative. And the commission as a whole has been very fiscally conservative and moderate. I mean, let's be fair to them. I mean, there's no liberal advocation. Even the school systems in Anderson County are fiscally conservative. I think Tim Parrish done a good job of trying to keep things within the budget, just done a good job. In the old days, we'd have all kinds of, BL and Rex, everybody discriminate. But anyway, the state Republican Party, and they do it in 37 other states to be fair, has voted to have partisan elections in everything, from the top to the bottom. We've never had them. Now, that doesn't impact, obviously, they have partisan county primaries in Knoxville. They have them in other areas, but they don't in Morgan, or they don't in Roane, and we have it in Anderson. And now, the Republican Party has opted in that any commissioner that's a Republican can put an R by their name on that nonpartisan ballot. So if you're living in the middle of District 3 or the middle of District 1 or 4 and you're running for office, a person who qualifies, who's bona fide, who's voted Republican, 3 out of 4 primaries,
3 out of 4.
Et cetera, they will be allowed to put a R by their name so that the voters will understand that this nonpartisan election, that this person is actually a certified Republican running in a well, it wouldn't be nonpartisan then. But I try to explain it to everybody. It's not, that doesn't mean you have to be a Democrat or an independent. It's a choice. It's a choice. If you're an independent and you think you represent all the people and you're nonpartisan, you just stay with that.
Yep.
And there are a few districts where it doesn't help you to be an R, a couple, but most it does.
Yeah.
And so what's the general mood of the changes?
Well, none of the other commissioners, other than Commissioner Val, has asked me some, about it, and he'll be at the next meeting that we have Thursday night. But you hit the nail on the head. They're all conservatives.
Yeah. For the most part.
Yeah.
Outside of Oak Ridge, they are.
Yeah. And they work hard. They watch their pennies.
Mm-hmm. Have to.
Yeah. And
probably the best commission's gotten along in 20 years I've known about it.
Oh, I would agree.
24 probably I've been involved in.
Yeah.
It's just, I think they got a lot. But what we couldn't do, internet tax did. In other words,
that's true.
Once the internet started taxing and we had efficient software, we're getting a windfall every month. Anderson County gets 300,000 or 400,000 here. That's a lot of money.
If you remember, they thought I was crazy because I stood up there and I said, "Look, this is the money that we're going to have. We don't need to do a tax increase because
I do remember you saying.
Yeah, this is how much money we're going to be bringing in, and this is how much that we're going to be bringing in off of our personal property tax and things because we're building so many houses." I'm on the
See, every time you order from Amazon or I order from Amazon or somebody down the street orders from Amazon, and my wife orders from Amazon, and you getting all that done, we're getting our local option on that.
And just like
during COVID, it was massive.
Oh, massive. Well, now let me tell you.
And not that COVID's over, but you know what
I'll tell you how I knew. It's because I deal with UPS and FedEx every day. Okay, because we're outside the zone, so we have to go meet the truck to get our goods for the business. Truck's always packed, always. Sometimes 2 trucks. They'll have to bring some more stuff up. This is pre-COVID. So I knew that right away because all that stuff, it was interstate commerce.
Well, they made cuts. And now they can't find people to work. That's a whole other story.
Yeah, so, I knew going forward, so I started doing some research on it and running the numbers. Got with the property assessor and looked at all the new homes that we built and being on planning commission, I kind of had a leg up on that, seeing what's coming. So then you start doing the ratio. This is how much we got coming in and there. So we've got well over what our tax increase was. So, yeah.
I mean, we're talking $2 or $3 million a year in extra income.
Yeah,
I mean,
well, I think it's right at $4 million.
Last year, I can see that. That'll
And-
solve a lot of problems.
And people think, and we're even growing even more from, we thought this first year was a banner year, and okay, guess what? The following May was even more than that May when we first, started getting it. So, we're going up every month. So what our projected revenue was, we're killing it. We're just...
Are we having any retail growth in the county? We struggled with that for a decade. I mean, just getting people to open up shops outside of Clinton, Norris, Oak Ridge, Oliver Springs. I mean, is there any growing retail in Claxton, or up in Andersonville or other areas?
Well, the Bates family's got a facility now up in Rocky Top.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
But Rocky Top, is that county tax or Lake City tax?
That'd be Rocky Top city tax.
I'm not concerned with that.
Yeah.
I know our good friend up there is, but a city manager. But I don't think.
But the Bates family, they made an investment there, and it's great. There was some empty buildings, and
And then, is that where they're doing their merchandising, where they're shipping it all over the country?
Yeah, Bates
great
sisters.
family.
Yeah, they are a great family.
Yeah.
They're good for the neighborhood with their TV show.
Oh yeah. It's on up.
It's all wholesome.
Yeah.
Yep, really is.
Yeah.
But anyway, going back to this, the state, and as you well know, that we heard in the state Republican dinner, where you were Statesman of the Year.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So anyway, they talk about the grassroots movement, and that was what was the guy there that was talking about that, from Washington, the Speaker of the House.
Oh, you're talking about Cameron Sexton in Tennessee?
No.
Oh, McCarty.
McCarty.
Yeah, Kevin. He was backstage.
Yeah.
I talked to him a little bit. He's trying.
Yeah, he's trying. But what he mentioned is grassroots movement.
Yeah.
And we talked about that on the local level, that we need the grassroots movement to change things, going forward for 2022. Mm-hmm. We've got, the Republicans got, take back over and get some control, because I think most people see how things are they're not agreeing with what's going on.
I have seen so much in the last 6 weeks in work and other places, development, things, et cetera. I like to say it's like jury nullification, where the jury just nullifies all of the evidence, just makes a jury based on what they feel the truth is, rather than the facts. And I think people are we gave you a year, we did everything you asked, don't put us back in the cage this year. I think people are getting vaccines, they're doing reasonable stuff, but you're not going to tell them you got to wear a mask to walk up the stairs and do the. Tennesseans just don't have it.
Hey, let me tell you something.
Yeah.
And I've been vaccinated because that was my choice. All right.
Yeah.
But God gives us free will.
That's correct.
Okay. He gives us free will to sin, to abide by His rules, whatever. So I can't see trying to mandate. I mean, you got to love your neighbor or your family enough. If you feel like if you need to be vaccinated, you're going to protect them. So, but to be the demand to be put on you for that, and then to like small business or big business, so they're going to be a $14,000 per day charge. Yeah. It comes from OSHA.
I have friends who are disease experts. That a couple of them are now retired. And I would say their politics is more liberal.
Yeah.
That's where their fundings come from. But they've told me, look, it happens every 8 to 10 years. It was SARS. It was something else. It's just the nature of creation. It's just we're going to have bugs going through us trying to hurt us.
Oh yeah.
And we'll build up immunity in a few years, and then we'll get another one in. But vaccines are good. We need them. Their argument is masks really aren't necessary.
Let me tell you, Mike Pence, when he was vice president, he saw the need to reach out to county commissioners all across the United States.
Y'all went to D.C. Yeah.
Okay, and so we were on a team, and we called in. He would speak, Dr. Fauci would speak, all these different people would speak. Now, Mike Pence, he was all about getting vaccinated, about the vaccines, and what happened during, the Trump and Pence administration is we actually came out, we bypassed a lot of hurdles and things, and we got the vaccine out there. But what I read and listened to and did studies on is the vaccine was safe. From that's my belief. Some people, it's up to.
That was your belief, or that is your belief?
That is my point. Yeah.
Well, I think, looking at it objectively, I got a vaccine, and I feel pretty good about it. And it's been 5 or 6 months, and I have. Obviously, I may have been exposed to it, but I take my zinc, I take my vitamin C, I take my vitamin D. I've built up an immunity system that it may go by me, but it's all DNA in the end. It's all. But my point was that people, when you bring a vaccine into it, any time in history, some people are going to be affected by that vaccine. They're going to get sick and die.
Yeah.
They're measuring the collaterals. To tell me it's totally safe, I know better.
It's
not been really friendly to women. I mean, my reading and my studying, and it's not my place, but, my wife has to make her own choice. I'm very hesitant to get my 15, 16-year-old vaccinated. To a lot of collateral. I think a 16-year-old can battle COVID and go through it. Not everybody.
Yeah.
Now, I don't have any underlying issues and those things, but I think my point being it's a thought process. Let me line up and do what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah, the Delta variant is different, and that's what Pence talked about. And we knew what was going to happen 2 weeks before the general public did.
Sure.
And in my situation, I'm a single father that runs a business by myself, don't have anybody else to take care of me. So, I kind of weighed that and say, if I get sick, who's going to take care of all these things? But, I grew up in the age where we stood in line to get the polio vaccine. Those in the, the red sugar cube.
Sure.
And, the measles vaccine, the smallpox, and all that stuff. And,
I got them all.
People our age just got the mark on their arm.
Sure.
So I remember back then, people called it the mark
of the beast. I remember that.
So, but anyway, that's where I see that. And we talked about last night in operations about setting up. I can't really pronounce it, but where you get the infusions now, and that's what's really helping people that's sick.
Yeah.
Or if you've been tested positive, you go ahead and get the infusions. So we're trying to get that set up where we'd actually do it over at the senior center, the new senior center, because it's a strategically placed location. So you'd have to have an appointment. EMS is going
Where
to
is the new
head that
senior
up.
center?
It's right there at Mariner Point.
Is it open?
Oh, it's open.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's
I
a
don't
great
follow
facility.
Mexican County anymore.
So with that location where we're at now, we can use that for many other things. I think the Sea Cadets uses that.
I'm going to say this, and we're going to go to break here in just a minute, but I want to say this. My concern is the federal mandated stuff for large businesses is that, let's face it, 20% of the trades and the security, but they're never going to get vaccinated. It's not what they believe in. And you know what? It's going to create shortages. We already can't keep Panera open till 7 o'clock. We can't. McDonald's has got one lane open. I can go through the whole town, in the whole county. But the problem is, you get into these big employers.
Yeah.
And 20 people say, look, I got a plumbing license or electrical license. It's different if you've got a regular job and you pay pushing paper, you got to make choices. But a lot of people are retiring early.
Yeah.
Valuable people are retiring early because they don't want to deal with all the regulations. So I don't know. I don't know if it's positive or negative, but we're going to take a short break and come back and talk some more.
Okay.
Ryan Spitzer has been a prosecutor in Anderson County since 2007, prosecuting more than 2,500 cases over the past decade. Ryan has been the Drug Task Force prosecutor for the past 7 years. Ryan donates time working with local nonprofits. A veteran, Ryan spent 6 years serving his country as an Army medic in the National Guard. Ryan is a family man who works hard every day to keep Anderson County families safe. Experience matters.
Hello, I'm District Attorney General Dave Clark. My fellow DAs and I successfully fought for new elder abuse laws and procedures that have police departments and agencies using improved tools to protect our seniors. Victims of elder abuse are often unable to recognize or report abuse themselves. They need your voice. If you suspect abuse, contact local law enforcement or adult protective services. Let's work together to protect our seniors.
Roger Miller is a conservative and lifetime resident of Anderson County who has served as Sessions Judge since 2014. Judge Miller has adjudicated more than 30,000 cases, both civil and criminal, over the past 7 years. Roger is a graduate of Clinton High School, and he volunteers time coaching youth sports and serving as an instructor. A paramedic for 12 years, Roger worked saving lives at the Anderson County EMS, MedFlight 5, and Methodist Medical Center. In 2022, let's re-elect Roger Miller, General Sessions Judge.
Between the Lines would like to thank Protection Strategies Incorporated for sponsoring tonight's program, one of our country's leading providers of integrated security services, including operational security, training, testing, and evaluation. Clients of PSI include the Department of Justice, the FBI, and the Department of Energy.
We're talking with Tim Isbel this evening about Anderson County government, redistricting, all kinds of issues that impact working employees and different things. I think probably when we were talking about partisan elections before, I think the real issue is going to be, I know the zones. Obviously, that's my background, and I know what the percentage of, I think in rural areas, it becomes very difficult to win without labels. I mean, we're in a, no matter what side you're on, we're in an information civil war. I mean, social media is wrapped up. You're on one side or the other. I mean, vocal protests erupting at football games last weekend. Just people are, it's really like this. Our patience is gone. And then the president came on Sunday morning, with all due respect to him, and said, we're growing impatient with your attitude towards vaccinations or something of that nature. I was walking through a hotel and I thought, I don't believe I said that. But, they're doing all kinds of things. So I think partisan elections, with the divisiveness between the urban communities of this country and the rural and suburban countries, I've seen polling over the last 3 weeks. Tennesseans are, I think, have a 78% approval rating of Donald Trump and others. I think it becomes very hard to compete with someone who's got an R by their name. Now, it probably doesn't in District 7. It probably doesn't in some districts, but a lot of people are really upset with the national situation, and and I think it could get to be where it has an advantage in commission races. I think people should be judged on their performance. I know several nonpartisan leaders who probably would not lean on the R side totally, or wouldn't take that label, but they've done an outstanding job. I think when you get in your neighborhood, it doesn't matter as much. That's my opinion. I mean, I don't pick my watch leader for the street based on his politics, I guess. I want somebody that's going to keep their eyes open and watch for what's going on in my neighborhood. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, everybody that's sitting in a commission seat right now, they know how they operate, their constituents do, and they really like them or they wouldn't be there. I think there are not many close races. I mean, there's a few in Oak Ridge, but, in rural areas, I think everybody won by, sizable margins. And, you see these people on a daily basis, so they know where you're at. They know if you're conservative or where you lean, mostly, I think. Of course.
We haven't had a Democratic mayor in 22 years.
It's true.
23 years now. We haven't had, it's just, we've migrated to a more conservative perspective. And national politics dictate that, in fairness to all of the people on commission.
Yeah.
And speaking of commission, I do some consulting work with some Knoxville people and some Hamilton County and other areas. Knoxville commissioners make $25,000 a year. Hamilton County a little bit more. No, maybe the same. And I think statute dictates if you have a certain population, you have to pay your commissioners so much. And I think their Nashville's $65,000 a year for county. Well, we make $600 a month. And, these guys work awfully hard for that kind of money and do a lot of work. And some people think it should be a voluntary job, but they have no, it's not like being just on the beer board. It's like you got to work, you got to represent constituencies, you got to go to 3 or 4 meetings a month, really. I mean, there are commissioners that go to 1 or 2 that go to 1 a month, and they're pretty well versed, but they read their stuff. But it's really a legislative body. In Oak Ridge, the county doesn't have what Oak Ridge has. Oak Ridge has professional managers in position that can make decisions, file reports with council. You guys actually have to do a lot of the work.
Yeah, the rural
county government.
Yeah, the rural commissioners really do.
Oh, that's exactly right.
Because there's so many things you got to do during the day. And like for me, for instance, you got to take time away from your business, or you got to take your vacation days, if you work for somebody else, just to handle some of these meetings that they go to.
It is a lot. It really is.
Yeah.
So you think what do you think about the census? What districts are going to change?
Well, what's got to change is 3's got to come down, 4's got to grow, and then you've got all the
But
percentages.
tell the people what that means. 3 is Norris and Andersonville, and those are going to come down some.
They got to come
Too
down
many
some.
people in the
Too
drawn
many
lines.
people.
When we say come down, we mean shrink the lines to get to the
Shrink
right
the lines.
population.
Right, to get the population
A little
back.
less of Andersonville. But the north, they got nowhere to go with it. You're going to have to shrink the bottom of 3, right?
Exactly, and here's what happens, because you got some people that's in 3 that's always voted at Fairview, then had to start voting in Claxton. Well, we're trying to be.
That wasn't very.
No.
People were really
so
upset about
what
that.
our goal is, because we went ahead and set up, because we wasn't sure when we was going to get our information, and then we're supposed to have it ready by November. Well, we have already got the information. Now we don't have it to January, but we've got every Thursday scheduled for a meeting, so we can be as transparent as possible to the public, and so they can weigh in. But what we hope to do now is some of these things that happened in the last census or the last redistricting, is we're going to correct those. That's what we're going to do. So that's why we got these percentages.
And like in our districts up here, 6, I believe, the West Oak Ridge, it actually boiled over into Oliver Springs and Marlow.
That's true.
If we could move that district back up to Oak Ridge, and of course, do they need population in 6, or do they need to lose it? That's the question. If we look at it, it's about even. They can stay where they are. But all you got to do is roll 6 over towards 5 a little. Towards 7 a little bit, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because 5 used to have this Oliver Springs area right there, and now 7 has it.
Right.
So then, and all these people that was in, Oliver Springs in this area is used, to the rural commissioners, and now, they got the Oak Ridge commissioners, and, so it's always, how people, they don't like change. That's just it.
I got that.
But
you get accustomed to stuff.
All these things can change, and like 2 moves up, because right now, to reduce part of 3 that's Glen Alpine. Glen Alpine's in the city of Clinton. Does it make sense for 2
to pick it up?
Yeah. So that would move up, which will be on up into here.
Your area is huge, and I'm going to talk about my family and my friends in New River. Are you taking care of them?
Of course. Let me tell you what, that is God's country for sure.
I know that, but we always had to worry about, and I'm not picking on anyone, Sheriff, but we had in the past, everybody worried about how many patrols are going up that way, and you've done enough. You handed out school supplies. You've always volunteered at Briceville Elementary. You've done stuff for your district over the years, and great people. Just Briceville and New River. But New River, that's a community
let me tell you,
that was thriving 50 years ago, and now there's 300 families left up there.
Well, here's what's happened to New River and Briceville and all in the city of Rocky Top. This ATV program has just exploded.
Yeah.
And the people in New River,
Scotty turned the hotel turned the center into a hotel.
That's
Scotty,
right.
he got to be one of the smartest businessmen.
Well, let me tell you something. They didn't just sit there and say, hey, we're down and out. We're waiting on somebody to do something for us.
Yeah.
They picked the ball up and they ran with it.
Yep.
Now, that's one of the most sought after places over there. One day, they had people from Israel over there riding. This is a destination. And then, they got the prison, where they're doing all that stuff over there. So it's just right down the road.
Yeah, it is right.
So it's really on the grow. And, so many campsites. And
the problem we had, we wanted to get the train moving. We worked on it for years. You remember when Myron was interim mayor and before over there, we worked on getting the train moving, because that would have been fabulous up there. But I think you're getting the same kind of fix, and that was great. But the biggest thing is they need to remediate that creek.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful
remember that
place.
Time we went over there?
We walked out in the place, and it costs money, but you got to remediate. Water comes off the hill, right, and it gets there, and it's got the mud and stuff, but that's a beautiful area.
It is.
And my wife grew up in that area, but it's fantastic.
The thing about it is when people, they want to go to Smoky Mountains to see the leaves and things change. This is a drive. They call it the Devil's Triangle.
Yes.
And there's so many motorcycle riders, and it's a beautiful ride. It really
is.
But
for the people that have never been there and have never gone, New River, we'll call it a big creek or a small river running down, like in the Smokies, same kind of thing. And you come in on one side of 116, you go down, go around the bridge, you can come around and go down the other side. So it's really a big loop.
Sure
and
is.
Scotty and the business are all on one side of the loop, but if you haven't been up there, you need to ride up there.
Yeah,
Two ways to get there, Oliver Springs or Lake City, but it's so beautiful up there. Good people.
And Scotty's store is like some of the things that you see back in the day, like you see the old movies, the Manhattan Project and stuff. That's his store.
Rocket Man,
the
Rocket Boy, whatever.
The coal stove, and Of course, you can't get coal anymore hardly, but wood stove and the bologna sandwiches and all that stuff right there, and the landline phones, because that's all we got.
Yeah.
So
did the cell ever get to New River? Can you run a cell phone in New River?
There is actually.
I haven't been up there in 5 or 6 years.
AT&T put up a new tower, but now with all this new money we're getting from the federal government, what the federal government is telling us from the state is to invest in infrastructure.
Sure.
And one of the things in
It's a condition.
infrastructure is broadband.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that we're actually pushing. Even back when Zach Bates was on commission,
I remember.
we did those resolutions about trying to get broadband, and so we can have
Zach
some
was a good
communication over there. And so now we're getting to that area. Governor Lee, he's a big supporter of broadband. He thinks, we should have it everywhere. We've attacked that in several different aspects, trying to get broadband. Jerry Creasy, great
Well, he's an
commissioner.
expert at this.
Yeah.
Jerry's run cell towers for years.
Oh, he knows all about it. And, he's one of the guys you always got to lean on.
Yeah.
He's been around long enough, and his expertise.
Been on commission almost 40 years.
Yeah.
I think it's 40 this year or next. But he just a valuable resource.
Yes, he is.
He's in District 7.
And got a great memory.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's
Yeah.
about 8 houses from me. Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
We grew up there. Yeah.
Great people.
That's good people. Absolutely. So New River's good. Tell me about downtown Lake City. What are we doing? All I hear is complaints about homeless growing.
Well, now, let me tell you something.
Tell me what's going on up there.
We did, because I see it, I live there.
Yeah, I know you do.
I
That's
got
why I'm
property
asking.
uptown. I drive through there all the time, and I call it the walking dead, because what you have is people that want to be homeless because it's a drug issue.
Yeah.
We don't have any homeless issues where people, if they're just looking for a house or somewhere
What
to
about
stay,
that motel?
we can handle
Can we
that.
shut something? Can we zone some of that stuff out of there?
I tell you what, the Rocky Top City Council's doing everything they can actually legally do. You can't arrest somebody just for walking down the road. One of the issues, and we brought this up last month, and we talked about
I don't even know what the hotel is, but everybody tells me there's one hotel that's kind of the host of all.
It's the overdose deaths that we're dealing with.
At that hotel?
And the theft that we deal with, like with everybody's had catalytic converters cut off. The funeral home, the auto parts store. Everybody has. I have. They're cutting these off, and finally they did a sting, and these middlemen that was buying them from the thieves. But here's what happens: is we had like 98 Narcan within 30 days. This wasn't even EMS's numbers. And now the druggies, the big black market thing is Narcan, because they're carrying it around because they're overdosed on heroin and fentanyl. And the Attorney General, he's been doing an article in the Courier about heroin abuse.
Yes.
And how that's the drug of
I've
choice
seen
now,
it,
and the fentanyl. We actually had an officer that was exposed to that fentanyl. They had to bring him back. He's out doing his job. I mean, we have got, and this is something I want to preach on this year, is we have got to invest some money into our security, our police departments, our sheriff's department, because what we have, Commissioner Wandale was talking about how over here, in Mobile Home Park, how people are getting so doped up and they're running across, the trailers, and they actually beat this one guy, put him in the hospital, and was living in his house while he was in the hospital, and he died.
Did the stimulus money help or hurt?
Well,
I don't know. I think it helped a lot of people. But, a lot of people just have quit working, and they're used to getting a check.
Golly, you talking about an issue, because I go into these local plants and myself, you can't buy employees.
It's terrible.
I've got 3 part-time people that I'm working, trying to get one 40-hour guy.
My son turned 16 in a month, and I eat out a lot. Every restaurant has God, let him come here, Alan. We got to have some workers, blah, blah, blah. Let him work. I'll work him 20, 25 hours a week, whatever. It's just people are begging.
Hey, we had the dollar store up there in Medford that was closing down at 6 o'clock because they didn't have no workers.
That's
that's 2 people to run the store, and they can't get it. That's remarkable. And you see this, you've got where Toyota's cut back 40% because they can't get product. You've got plants that's just begging for employees. You see it everywhere. They're offering bonuses. people are just not working. They got used to staying at home, and now that they're getting this child credit and things like that. And
I don't think $250 a month's going to save them, but
No.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So I don't know.
It'll be interesting to see if
what we
this
do to get-
$3.9 trillion package that the president's pushing passes, because there's going to be a lot of opposition to a lot of it. So
Yeah.
and
Well, the thing about that package is, and I think every American, this is taxpayer money. We're not going to be the ones paying it back. Our children's children is going to help be paying it back. But I don't agree with the money going overseas. All this money, this package needs to stay. The money needs to be spent here in the United States. The other package, how much of it that was sent overseas, to different organizations and things like that, it's ridiculous.
I don't know, but we are being perceived as a very weak nation at this point internationally. I just think that the Chinese and the Russians, they're going to do what they want to do. We're not going to stand up to anybody. Do you think? I just don't see it.
No, I don't see it.
Let me make clear on this. I think the military would be glad to do it, and the generals under any administration.
Yeah.
I think they've done a great job.
I'll tell you what
I know
hear.
they're not listening to the military.
I'll tell you what, I went to
That's what I've been told.
funeral Saturday at Veteran. He worked with the sheriff's department. And so there's a lot of veterans there.
Yes.
And, they were telling me, he said, do you understand? Of course, they know where I'm at politically.
Yes.
I'm vice chairman of the Anderson County Republican Party.
You are on the executive committee.
I am just, I'm a conservative. I wave that flag. I put all these people, on my fence, and because that's just me.
Sure.
But I'm a diehard American that says America's got to protect herself. And they're coming to me and said, have you heard that now with all the military equipment that we left there, the helicopters and all this other stuff, that the Taliban is more equipped than the country of Australia? Have you heard that?
No, I think my friends that are contractors say there's a lot of misinformation about what was left, but hey, they're coordinating flights. We're working with the Taliban. I mean, I don't know. I'm not qualified to answer those questions. I just think that I don't know. I felt better under the previous administration when it comes to international than I do under the present one.
Well, it's kind of like
But
Ronald
who
Reagan.
am I,
Everybody knows, and you look back at history, Ronald Reagan didn't mess around.
Yeah.
He was ready to pull the trigger no matter what. And that's why you hear a lot about Reagan
I guess.
economics.
Yeah. Anyway, we're going to take one more break, and we're going to finish up with Tim Isbel and talk a little bit more about county stuff.
Roger Miller is a conservative and lifetime resident of Anderson County who has served as Sessions Judge since 2014. Judge Miller has adjudicated more than 30,000 cases, both civil and criminal, over the past 7 years. Roger is a graduate of Clinton High School, and he volunteers time coaching youth sports and serving as an instructor. A paramedic for 12 years, Roger worked saving lives at the Anderson County EMS, MedFlight 5, and Methodist Medical Center. In 2022, let's re-elect Roger Miller, General Sessions Judge.
Hello, I'm District Attorney General Dave Clark. My fellow DAs and I successfully fought for new elder abuse laws and procedures that have police departments and agencies using improved tools to protect our seniors. Victims of elder abuse are often unable to recognize or report abuse themselves. They need your voice. If you suspect abuse, contact local law enforcement or adult protective services. Let's work together to protect our seniors.
Between the Lines would like to thank Protection Strategies Incorporated for sponsoring tonight's program, one of our country's leading providers of integrated security services, including operational security, training, testing, and evaluation. Clients of PSI include the Department of Justice, the FBI, and the Department of Energy.
Ryan Spitzer has been a prosecutor in Anderson County since 2007, prosecuting more than 2,500 cases over the past decade. Ryan has been the Drug Task Force prosecutor for the past 7 years. Ryan donates time working with local nonprofits. A veteran, Ryan spent 6 years serving his country as an Army medic in the National Guard. Ryan is a family man who works hard every day to keep Anderson County families safe. Experience matters.
Thank you for joining us on Between the Lines this evening. We really appreciate you, and we thank our sponsors, Judge Ryan Spitzer and Judge Roger Miller, Protection Strategies, and Tim Shelton. We appreciate everything they've done and do. Where we go? What's the biggest challenges we have in county government right now? Where are we going?
Well, what we're going to do with the infrastructure money, that's one of the biggest challenges that we got now.
Let me ask you a question while we're on that. I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. What's the story on the Justice Center?
That's an ongoing debate. We meet every month. We talk about that. We're putting numbers together, the cost savings it would be, to have a Justice Center.
Here's my understanding. I'm not sure we need it, but the Justice Center only makes sense financially if you can reduce costs in Oak Ridge. And we, as a community in Oak Ridge, and I speak as an Oak Ridge, do not want our court moved. So that's where your big debate comes in, is that how do you maintain costs and expenditures in Oak Ridge, which Oak Ridge shares with us, et cetera, and what savings are remaining to pay off the debt for a Justice Center? I don't know. What's the answer to that?
Well,
you're the finance guy.
I currently serve on that too. So we're at that stage where we're talking about, we do a Justice Center, what's the pros and cons?
That's right.
So that's where we're at on that right now. As far as giving, any dollar amount or anything like that, we're not ready for that. How do you expand? Do you do it for, it's obviously it's got to be over there to jail, where the jail's at now. So that's what we're looking at.
So really, we're just still in the study phases.
Just study phases.
Month to month. It's not going to happen next year or anytime. It's going to have to be.
And everybody's involved. Judge Layton involved. Judge Miller's involved. Everybody is involved about Cantrell. I mean, all the judges are there. There's 2 commissioners from each.
Everybody's up for election next year.
Yeah.
It's the 8-year cycle, isn't it?
That's true.
It's interesting. It is, because it takes a lot. I have clients that are, all over East Tennessee, and judges as a whole aren't very political people. They're judicial people. They can't afford to be political. They are studying yet, and that's why it's 8 instead of 4.
Yeah.
But every 8 years they've got to try to answer questions and do things, and it gets tougher and tougher in a more hostile political environment. So I feel for them, a lot of them, in those judicial district roles. It's tough. I think the key to the next challenges in this area is going to be the diversity of the county. You're trying to address problems, and it's never changed, really.
That's true.
I've always said Anderson County Schools has one tough challenge. It rolls from Norwood all the way around to New River to Lake City to Claxton. That's a lot of geography to cover.
Yeah, it is.
And I think the schools have done a really good job at trying to reach out.
Hey, they're always winning awards, the top-notch schools.
Briceville Elementary, I remember how they were always one of the best elementary schools in Tennessee. Isn't that interesting?
It is, definitely. And, of course, you got people that, that really give back up there, the people that's left and excelled.
Attention means so much.
Yeah, it sure does.
I mean, these kids, they get excited, and it's a lot to do. And I've always admired the teachers up there. I went up there several times with Lieutenant Governor McNally in the old days and other people. Everybody's always paid a vested interest. How's the ambulance service?
Ambulance service is doing great. Everything's going really, really well there. They've been able to change some things to get more people. Of course, they struggle like everybody else about getting employees, but they're doing better. Don't have any complaints. There for a couple of years, it's a pretty hostile environment. Between county commission and EMS and all, but now it's just everybody's working together.
Helps to have money too.
Yeah.
Is it still? It got its own fund? Is it still a self-sufficient fund, or does it come back under general fund?
It comes back under general fund.
But
yeah,
for a while there, Rex had separated
it
in the early 2000s, and it came, and I think it was its own fund. Any visions of new things that are coming the county folks can, county meaning everybody, Oak Ridge, everybody?
Yeah.
No taxes, I presume, for a lot of years because of the internet.
Well, actually, one of the plans that I've talked about is actually trying to get money back this year, in this budget cycle. I mean, if we can give back, and here's what people say: you shouldn't say this, but if you raise taxes for a particular thing, like say building a jail.
Yeah, if it's targeted, I agree.
Okay.
And you don't build it.
And when that jail's built and it's paid for, that money should
That
go
8
back to the
cents should be
taxpayer.
taken off of the taxpayer rolls.
I mean, I'm a firm believer in that.
It
And
doesn't
that's,
happen very often in government.
well,
They find other uses for it.
why can we not do that? We can.
Because new needs come up.
Well, the thing,
I'm
but
on
with
your
these
side,
new
but I'm
needs, we
explaining.
got this. Yeah, we got this internet sales tax
It's
that
off
we,
the
you know,
charts.
that's
Off the
off the
charts.
charts.
I mean, people can sit in their house and order $500, and we get $2 in it. We make $12, and we don't do anything. I mean,
You know,
it's
when they
just
come to you and say, if I had 5 cents, if we do 5 cents on tax rate, we're not going to need no more money for
which people, that's
years
about
and years.
600,000 or 700,000, right?
Right.
140.
Yep, 140. If we get 5 cents on tax rate, you know, we're going to be so good for the next maybe 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get this internet sales tax and you're getting 15 cents.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do with that? I mean, we can pay down a lot of debt, and that's what we talked about yesterday in the finance committee. Is we're going to pay off some debt, and it's going to save the taxpayers $500,000.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about buying 10 fire trucks now, and instead of just every other year. And if we buy this bulk of fire trucks, it saves $500,000.
We got about 4 or 5 minutes left. Let's talk about volunteer fire departments real quick.
Yeah.
That's what you're talking about. But how's Medford doing? How are the volunteer fire departments still getting some money and some help from the county?
Well, the thing about the volunteer fire departments, you know, during COVID,
that's what
there was a lot of fundraisers that we normally do that we wasn't able to.
The chili suppers.
The chili suppers. If we didn't have the volunteer fire departments, it would cost the county about $5 million a year
to cover everything.
To get the fire coverage. So that's why our volunteer fire departments are so important. That's why we invest money in the fire trucks. You know,
And Bryceville covers New River, right?
Bryceville
I keep
covers
coming back
New
to my
River.
people, but
they have 64 square miles to cover for
Unbelievable.
Bryceville Fire Department.
Unbelievable.
Jamie Brewster's done a great job. The whole the new board that they've got up there, they're building a new fire hall.
But you know, it's kind of got an 1800s ring to it. I mean, we take care of our own.
Yeah.
We have volunteer fire departments. We have cookouts. We play, you know, you're kind of a self-contained area up there. That's really admirable to me. I mean,
it is.
We could have a national famine and shortage of everything. I'm not sure they know.
Yeah.
They got their food. They cut their own wood. They're self-supporting. That's right. And that may come back into style someday.
You've seen that hummingbird pie.
Yeah.
That they usually have $300. That's what those things bring.
Oh, yeah, when they're auctioning off for stuff.
Yeah, it's great.
I wonder why it's called that.
I have no idea, but the lady that, you know, the first one I ever got, it was just, I mean, it's wonderful. And that lady has passed on, but she gives the recipe to some other people. It's got so many different things in it. It's just.
What's the population of Bryceville? 500?
No, I think we're probably around 6 something. You know, it's according to which boundary you want to go to.
And New River?
Yeah.
300, 400?
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, we don't have the coal, you know, going on now, although they keep renewing their permits, because if you don't renew your permit, then you'll never get it. But what we're doing now is, you know, Dennis Powers is leading the way about trying to turn it back into the state regulation away from the federal. So,
you know, he could be impacted. I mean, as we redistrict, and I'm a little more involved in state and federal stuff, and I look for that district to change out there. I don't know the numbers yet because they haven't released them, because I work so much on federal congressional districts. But I think, you know, we've been back and forth on that interstate. Remember Kelly Kiesling and then Dennis. And so I'm not sure if Anderson County, if Dennis and them get any of Anderson County this time. It may go all the way out for John.
Well, you know, that would make sense for, you know, District 33 to encompass all of Andersonville, because you've got, you know, you draw the line right there. So Andersonville has a different state representative than Clinton does.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's real important. Of course, Dennis does a fantastic job, you know, I think, in everything that he does.
I saw him in Nashville at the dinner you're talking about. He seemed like he was doing well.
You know, I've been with him on, you know, several meetings with both governors, you know, at the state before, trying to help, you know, our region.
I've said it before, and I think Governor Lee's done a good job with all the overwhelming challenges of COVID and everything else, and he deserves credit. I still say Bill Haslam might have been the best governor we ever had. We had a lot of good governors over the years on both parties, but he just, you know, he maintained conservative values, and he built businesses and recovery. And who's doing the industrial recruiting now? Is it still handled by down in Clinton at the building there where Tim Thompson worked all those years?
It is, yeah.
Okay, who's there now?
Andy,
Okay.
and he used to be up at Campbell County, and that's where I got to know him on some of the issues that was working. Man, he's great, I'm telling you.
Really?
Yeah, he's tearing it up.
Well,
Of course, with
I've got
COVID,
45. I just want to tell you, all of the people that work in county government, and we all bicker and fight a little bit here and there, but it is a chore, and it is a lot of hard work. And I admire all of you for sticking with it and doing it. I mean, you, Jerry, and you, and other people have been at it a long time. Tracy Wandell for his community, Robert McCamey and Jerry Wyeth. I mean, I could go over everybody. And as I said, I'm impressed with Josh. So I just appreciate you coming on here and giving us a little insight to what's going on. And we'll see what happens with redistricting. So I hear that not many districts will change. If so, a couple of roads here and a couple of roads there.
That's true.
But thank you so much for coming on, and we appreciate you.
Thanks, and we're going to unveil the Oak Ridge gates here soon.
Oh, that's right. I should have said something about that. Thank you very much.